Keith, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And what a difference we're seeing right now with this, right?
Yeah, I mean, I am glued to the news, and rarely do I find stories that actually shock me. And I have to say, Keith, this is one of them. So I want to get your initial reaction to everything the DOJ is doing here.
Well, I think we're seeing a huge contrast between the Biden DOJ and President Trump's administration. All
Yes.
this fraud happened while Biden was asleep at the wheel. They were happy to waste our tax dollars, and they only know how to do one thing, that's ask for more. President Trump's been in office for under 6 months, and we just saw the largest healthcare fraud bust in history. That tells us a lot.
Yeah, it does. And I think it's safe to say that we've seen a big difference, to your point, between AG Pam Bondi and, respectfully, that clown, Merrick Garland. So this is just, it's shocking to me. But I also want to ask you about the implications of it, because it seems like this went on, like you said, for a long, long time. So somebody somewhere had to have known, aside from the people involved in it, and yet it still persisted. What do you make of that?
I think it's about priorities. When we look at the
Okay.
Biden administration, they were more interested in adding parents who showed up to PTA meetings to
Yes.
terrorism watch lists than going after the people that were stealing billions of dollars from US taxpayers. It's a good example of why the government shouldn't be doing so many things. It's bad at doing large things, it's inefficient. It's hard to defraud a relatively small operation, but when you've got an operation as large as the federal government, there's bound to be fraud. And the Biden administration just wasn't looking hard enough for it. It was right under their noses.
Well, were they not looking hard enough for it, or did they know about it and just decide they didn't want to do anything? I'm speculating. I know. But I do wonder about that, Keith.
Yeah, I think a lot of us do. All of us who pay taxes, we want our money to be put to good
Yes.
use. We're not looking for it to be stolen by criminals. And in this case, it was a bunch of foreign criminals who were
Yes.
operating in an organized fashion. They just saw American taxpayers as an easy mark.
Yeah, including, I think, one Pakistani official who I believe is now in custody. But talk to us then, Keith, about what happens next here, because hundreds of people have been charged, and I'm wondering what's going to come of that.
Well, I don't see Attorney General Pam Bondi and the Trump DOJ backing off of this anytime soon. In
Okay.
fact, I would guess this is the tip of the iceberg. We're going to see more indictments, more prosecutions, and they're going to keep hammering away to save money for the U.S. taxpayer. None of us like to see our money wasted, and the Trump administration has made it clear that stopping waste and abuse is a priority.
It certainly is, but I mean, for everything we saw with DOJ and USAID and all of these weird projects we were funding all over the world, DEI plays and Sesame Street workshops in Iraq, this is something that is really unexpected for my part. So moving forward, because you said it's the tip of the iceberg, what do you really mean by that?
Well, I think that the fraud that's been uncovered recently
Yes.
is a small subset of the fraud that will be uncovered. This was 324 individuals. I
Yes.
suspect there are thousands more. And while these might have been some of the larger offenders, there are a ton of smaller offenders that just haven't been indicted yet. But I bet they're working on those cases, and those indictments will be unsealed in time.
Okay, then final thoughts for you. There have been some people who are somewhat critical of Pam Bondi, especially when it comes to, say, things like the Epstein files, the MLK files. I understand that, but would you say as of right now she's doing a pretty solid job of restoring justice and the rule of law in America?
I think Attorney General Pam Bondi is doing a pretty good job. I think all of us want to see more movement. We want to see
Sure.
faster improvement. We know that President Trump's only got 4 years,
Yes.
and that sense of urgency sits strong with all of us. So while we may always want things to go faster, I think she's pushing forward as fast as she can with the tools in her toolbox.
Agreed. I also think she's up against some extremely corrupt and nefarious forces in the swamp, so I do want to give her a lot of credit and grace there. But Keith, thank you for your time today. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me on.
It's now time to reveal the results of our last poll question, where we asked, do you think the ceasefire between Israel and Iran will hold? 38% of you said yes, whereas 62% of you said no. Honestly, for me, it's a 50-50. I'm hoping and praying that it holds, and I know that's what President Trump would like to see, but it's really anybody's say at this point in time. But now let's take a look at what some of our viewers had to say about this on X and Truth Social. On X, Jim Book says, I suspect Iran will break the ceasefire. At that point, I expect the remaining religiously indoctrinated leadership will become unable to breathe any longer. Then the Iranian people can choose their own form of government. I do not expect it will be religious. Fair point. Again, I don't have a crystal ball and I don't know, but if I had to bet money on this, and I'm not going to, but if I had to, I would say it would be Iran that breaks that ceasefire deal. Although, like you, I think that would be a horrible decision on their part, for a lot of reasons. But now, on Truth Social, Opar714 says this, quote, "They're both exhausted and America is not funding either one. This alone will keep them at bay. America is not funding both sides anymore. That was the thing that kept these forever wars forever. American funding. That's over. No money, no war." Very well said, by the way, and I hope that it continues like that because this is not what the American people signed up for. Anyway, today's poll question is, do you support the construction of Alligator Alcatraz? Go to OAN's X and Truth Social pages and vote now. We'll have the results for you next time, and we'll be right back.
For all our viewers asking where One America News is heading in the future, we would like to introduce you to OAN Live. OAN Live is the best way to stay up to date on all of the hard-hitting, straight-shooting, national and international headlines. And the best part is, OAN Live is only $4.99 per month. All the credible, honest, unbiased reporting One America News offers at a fraction of the cost of cable. Just go to OANN.com to easily sign up for OAN Live and stay informed.